Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first episode of WTF. And this is Alan Stevens, face profiler and an amazing person. And this is Dr. Chris Willems, equally amazing and wonderful in helping people present online. And I am Angela Heise, human skills and leadership skills. And the three of us have a wonderful combination of communication skills and an interest in humanity. So here we are, WTF, and you may wonder what this is all about. So we started talking about what we like in the world and what we don't like in the world. And we realized that with increasing technology and with AI, the world has become a really interesting, very task-oriented, very efficiency-focused place where humanity is really taking a back step. So we're no longer courteous, we're no longer friendly, where compassion is on its way out. And so we thought, you know what, we're going to have a look at that. We're going to raise some topics, maybe a little bit controversial because grumpy old men and women here. And, you know, we have opinions, but we are also very solution focused. And we just want to give you some ideas of what you can do. Saying that, it's really only about thought starters. We really invite you to have a look at how does this play out in your world? How do you feel when things happen? And what can you do about it? So since 2025 started with WTF, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, here we go. And the first topic we're dealing with is because we come across this all the time at the moment when we discuss topics, frontline staff. People are stressed out. I don't know what happened during the Christmas season or the holiday season, whatever we want to call it now. People are on the edge. People have a very short fuse, and it's playing out in all sorts of different scenarios. So let's go. Who starts?
Alan can start, I think. The name starts with an A.
Thrown in at deep end. I love it. And by the way, everybody who's listening to this, any questions you've got, please put them in the comments. Let us know also as we're going through these talks each week, what it is you'd like to know more about. What areas of your life do you have questions in as well? So we can answer those for you as well, or we can talk about them and raise a bit more awareness. But one of the things that we've noticed is with frontline staff, you know, the way they're treated, and at the same time when we walk through and we walk into a shopping centre, for instance, the way they're disconnected as well. We know that in the workplace today, a few years ago, it was 67% of people were disengaged. Now that's closer to the 80% of people are disengaged in their work. They don't want to be where they are because they're not enjoying their life in that role. And we need to be looking at that. Chris, you were talking about an event situation the other day, weren't you, about something you noticed?
Yes, that's right. I was in Bunnings I had to go to the paint counter, and there was no one there. And so I thought, oh, well, I'll wait for a minute, and no one turned up. So I went searching for the person from the paint counter, and anyway, I found him, and he was helping a colleague roll out a big roll of line, obviously a two-person job. And I thought, oh, he's obviously busy. I'll just wait for a few minutes. And he eventually got back to the paint counter, and I said, oh, I saw you were busy. I noticed you were busy, so I thought I'd just wait. He said, no one does that. No one just waits. Everyone complains and moans about, you got to be there instantly. And it was a really nice exchange, actually, because he was so relieved that I hadn't hassled him about not being there when he was supposed to be. I didn't happen to be in much of a hurry that day. That was fine. But it demonstrated to me how badly people are treated in those situations. And by the same token, sometimes you get frontline staff who are cranky and horrible. I bought a coffee yesterday from someone who just didn't want to be there, obviously didn't want to be there, and was very almost rude, bordering on rude, and saying, here's your mocha. And that was, I thought, well, darling, you shouldn't be working in a people-based business if you don't like people.
Well, in that situation, it's a case of, if you had actually said to the person, and that it sounds like you're having a bad day, quite often that's a great opportunity for them to have a bit of a conversation as well. But I guarantee the service you got at Bunnings was quite exceptional after you approached the person in that particular way.
Absolutely. No, it was very helpful chap. And was able to give advice about what sort of paint to buy and stuff. So, but I mean, in terms of the coffee serving, I'd have been observing this person for a few minutes because I wasn't the first in the queue. And it was everything about what she did was angry. And she may have been having a bad day, absolutely, but I didn't have time to ask.
Yeah, I've got two stories, if I may. I'm not asking for permission. Why am I asking for permission? I've got two stories.
You ought to know us better.
We'll give you permission. That's fine. Go for your life, Andrew.
The first story was I did a work scholarship program, and I worked as a kitchen hand, and I was in charge of front of staff and front of house. So, making sure that everything was there, cutlery, plates, bread bar, coffee, all of these things. And what we did, and kitchen are notorious for stress. And and again, often these things get taken out into the front of house, because when it's stressful in the kitchen, then it's really hard to just snap out of that for some people and then be, hello, welcome to. But what we did, and this was policy, we would prep the food in the morning. We would get to a point when the chef would say, okay, everybody grab a cup of tea or cup of coffee, and we would go outside and we would sit on the lawn and we would do a check-in. We would just go around and say, how's everybody going? And it was not a 5-minute elaborate thing. We had 30 seconds each, but we could say the most important thing that happened. I had a fight with my partner this morning. I'm feeling like crap. That would explain why you're grunting at everybody. So it wasn't about fixing it. It was just about compassion. We would just give that person a little bit of space, and somebody might say, you want to talk? You know where to find us.
It comes back to awareness, doesn't it? Because from what Dr. Chris was saying, in that when he was in the situation at that time with the coffee, right, and felt, her attitude and everything else, so he took that on emotionally. Here's me sitting back, is making the comment, well, you could have said this, because it comes back to reminding us we need to be aware. And going, okay, what could be going on here? So before we react, and this is one of the problems in social media today, they say that when somebody starts talking about a problem, the average amount of time it takes before someone jumps in with advice is 19 seconds.
Wow.
You haven't got enough time to get any details there.
No.
So I think the lesson I'm getting from this one is being aware when we're talking to people and just stopping that moment, going, hey, where are they coming from? Why are they saying what they're saying? What could be behind this?
And again, that's customer as well as frontline. It's having compassion on both sides. And that's my second story. It's just about thinking about what is the impact of the impact on the other person when we have that, when we snarl, when we grunt, and when we use some unkind words. I had a situation at an express checkout at the supermarket, and I wasn't moving fast enough when when the person said next. And the guy behind me said, come on, get moving. And I couldn't help myself. And I said it with neutral tonality. I turned around and I said, so what would you have supposedly done with the 2 seconds I just wasted? I'm just really curious. And he just looked at me like there was something wrong with me. It didn't register, but it was like 2 seconds, people honk behind, you stand at a traffic light, totally different story with Frontline, but you stand at the traffic light and you don't get moving because there's, the red line turns to green and somebody honks.
Yeah.
We don't have time anymore. Everything has to be super efficient. And when it comes to frontline staff, it's like, just tell me where things are and, just do this as quickly as possible. I don't want to chit chat. Let's just do this. And if I'm in a bad mood, I have the right to inflict this on you, be it customer or frontline, because we never see each other again, likely. So who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, indeed, and that's a very, very good point you make there, Angela. Yeah, the transitory nature of human interactions these days is makes us impatient. It makes us not care. It makes us not be compassionate. And Alan, you mentioned awareness, and I like to use the term active awareness. Being aware is one thing, but actually doing something about it is active awareness. You actually take action on that awareness. So, absolutely, and compassion, in short supply, generally speaking, compassion and empathy. So, we could always all afford to be a bit more aware and actively aware as well.
For example, I went to 2 different shops yesterday, And I had to go to the second one because the first place didn't have what I wanted, but I got some other things there. When I went to the checkout, blank look on the person's face, just swiping the stuff through and packing it and everything else. And I got into a conversation with them, both of them, with both faces, their whole faces lit up. We had a bit of a chat and everything else. You saw their posture change. And at the same time, I also walked out feeling better about myself as well. This is the thing that we should be looking at. How do we make ourselves feel better? And one of the ways of doing that is showing other people compassion and understanding. And as you said, that active understanding and active listening to connect with people. Because the more we disconnect, the more that's affecting our health. The more we're rushing, the more that's affecting our health.
And that's a really good point you make there. I mean, those kinds of little human interactions are so rare these days. People are just blown away, you know, and their faces light up, and our faces light up because their faces light up. And it's you know, to be fair to the frontline staff, you know, people on checkouts, whatever, it's a pretty tedious job, and it's repetitive and it's tedious, and sometimes the people they meet aren't that friendly or are complaining about something. But you're putting in the effort is you know, the constant effort is a really important thing to do. Yeah.
Look, frontline staff is everywhere. It's the person in the counter behind in the supermarket that you see regularly. It's the barista. It's the postman. There are all of these people, and I call them all frontline staff. And they are the ones that are executing tasks that are often so much in the background that we don't notice them. So the people who stack food in the supermarket, the shoppers who, you know, the people who who collect the foods for the online shoppers, they aim to shrink into the background. They don't expect to be talked to at all. And when I go into the supermarket or in, you know, it's like, I always say, so how's your day going? And I get this, you know,
You talking to me?
yeah. And it doesn't have to be a 10-minute conversation. You know, it's when you say that, and I avoid the words, how are you? Because, you know, you generally get fine, and fine is, you know, a brush off. It doesn't mean I don't want to talk about anything. You ask somebody in Europe how they are, you generally get a good answer, but be prepared for a longer conversation, possibly, you know. Here, it's just a brush off. I'm fine, good, not too bad. You know, but you can have some conversation about how's your day going. Great. Oh, wonderful. You know, and then maybe a question. So you're looking forward to the evening? Yeah. And then people will often say, I've got plans. Or if they say, yeah, so you don't have any plans. I mean, practice small talk, people. This is my thing. I hate small talk. But when it goes to parties and we have to go to, you know, like how you are, what are you doing? How long have you been here? You know, how many children? You know, that's the kind of stuff I don't like. But these short talks, they're called the loose social ties. They are the ones that make life worth living. Social connections is what determines our longevity. It's not smoking, drinking, exercise. It's how many connections we have. And if we just rush through the world, focused on what we need to do, and just treat people like tasks, is that really what we're here for?
That's why I tend to refer to social media as anti-social media, because it's ruining the social aspects of the human race, and because it is so instant and transitory, and everyone's a bloody expert and everything. So yeah, but no, it's you know, so for all of us, when we engage with frontline staff in any context, I think it's really important to just have those little moments, those little precious little gems of human to human interaction, and that's what these conversations are all about, human to human interactions.
Yes. Yeah. So you have already realized we've got lots of other topics that we started talking about. I mean, there are lots of topics. So we will continue. So in the meantime, let's build bridges of respect, one conversation at a time, and please join us next time. Thank you very much.